Please join me in prayer. Father, we begin this ceremony by thanking you. Thank you for your grace and your goodness, because it is only by them that we were able to make it through the rigors of law school and stand here ready and inspired to face our next challenge. Thank you for every obstacle that you enabled us to overcome to get to this point. Every victory revealed your faithfulness and was an opportunity for us to grow in our trust and reliance on you. Thank you for the professors and administrators at Campbell Law School who poured into us, helping to prepare us for the journey that lies ahead. Thank you for each colleague that challenged us to be our best selves. May our time at Campbell be a bond we never forget. Thank you for the path that you, as our Creator, have marked out for each one of our lives. Help us to listen carefully and to commit to obeying you as you direct our steps. We ask you to help us to remember that you have called each one of us to live lives of service. As we begin the next leg of our race, we ask that you help us to remember why we began this journey and help us always strive to bring about good in the world. We ask that you help us to walk in strength and courage by challenging the status quo and not just acquiescing to what has always been. Help us to challenge those divides that separate us by race, gender, socioeconomic status, and every other man-made divide that keeps us from reaching our full potential. Aid us in developing hearts of compassion that compel us to plead the cause of those in need. And as we take our place as leaders in our communities, our state, our nation, and on a global scale, help us to commit to solving the problems of today and bettering everyone's tomorrow. We pray all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please take your seats.
Good morning. Welcome to the 40th hooding and graduation ceremony for Campbell University's Norman Adrian Wiggins School of Law. Today is the culmination of a seemingly endless amount of work, preparation, and sacrifice. We celebrate your accomplishments to date, and we look forward to watching you as you launch your new careers. Joining me on the platform today are several distinguished guests and leaders that will participate in our celebration of the class of 2018. Bringing us our commencement address is one of the most prominent attorneys in our nation, the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, the Honorable Rod Rosenstein. From Campbell University, our visionary president, Dr. Bradley Creed, our able Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, Dr. Mark Hammond, and the supportive chair of the Campbell University Board of Trustees, Mr. Tom Keith. I'm delighted today to welcome our friends from C-SPAN who are broadcasting our commencement and many other media representatives who have joined us today. I frequently say and mean that I have the best staff of any law dean in the country. And I would now like all of them, whether on stage or in the audience, to rise and be recognized. Graduates, today is a transitional point in your lives. For the rest of your days, no matter what you are doing, whether you are a prosecutor or a public defender, a civil litigator or a criminal defense attorney, a judge, a corporate officer, a government official, or a parent at home raising children, when the question is asked, what do? You are now entitled to proudly answer, I am a lawyer. None of you got here alone, as evidenced by this crowd that has come to witness your triumphant day. I suspect that many of you in this audience recall leaving your student here 3 years ago, worried about what was in store for them. As the father of 5, I understand what it is to entrust to an educational institution your child who carries all of your hopes and dreams. I hope we have not disappointed you. One of the many great traditions that Dean Smith introduced into basketball was to require a player who scored to point to the player who assisted him. All of you on this stage have scored today, And now I invite you to stand and point to all of the people in the audience who assisted you in getting here today. As a parent, the main lesson that I have learned is that your children learn their values more from watching what you do than from listening to what you say. I expect the same may be largely true of you graduates today. It is the way in which this outstanding faculty, both permanent and adjunct, has taught, mentored, and interacted with you that will largely determine the values you take into your new profession. To the extent that you perceive law as a calling, it is because you have noticed that all of us view it that way. And if, as we hope, kindness, civility, and respect mark the way in which you conduct your legal career, it will be because that was the way you were treated here. And if you hold yourself to the highest standards of legal excellence, I hope it will be because you watched us as individuals do the same. I would like to ask my superb faculty, both permanent and adjunct, to now stand and give you and your families the chance to express your appreciation for the extraordinary legal education they have provided you. Let me now offer the podium to Dr. Creed and Mr. Keith to welcome you on behalf of Campbell University.
Thank you, Dean Leonard. Good morning to all of you. This is one of 6 ceremonies we are conducting through Campbell University over 3 days, and congratulations especially to our graduates, about to be graduates. Graduates, it was not so very long ago when you took a tangible step to make application to this law school. It was a step of faith that made concrete a dream or a hope that you had from your life. That dream to be a lawyer or the hope that you could do this started with a seed that was planted. Maybe someone from your family or a teacher from your hometown planted that seed. Maybe you knew a judge or an attorney where you grew up, whom you especially admired. Oftentimes, the dreams that we have for our lives grow out of a sense of tribulation or trauma or injustice. And whatever you went through sparked your curiosity and your desire to help other people and make life right for them. Maybe that dream came when, as a political science major, you took your first course in college on the U.S. Constitution. And you were enamored of that great document that is the law of the land. You are here today. It has been an amazing journey. It was a dream to make a good life, to make a good living, but most importantly, to make a difference. The year that you applied to come to this law school, there were about 40,000 other people in the United States who made application to law schools across this country. We're handing out 122 diplomas today. There are 700 other people who wanted to be here today to have an opportunity to receive one of those diplomas. You got the seat in the class, you persevered to the very end, and you're almost there. You took literally the road less traveled. Called that because there are less people who travel down this road than wanted to. But you're one of them for whom the door opened, and through that you took a step of faith. You could have taken some other road, but you opted for the arduous road. If it were easy, anybody could have done it, but you set your mind to a goal. You fanned the flame of the ember of a dream. You worked hard, and now you're poised to celebrate an amazing accomplishment. And your friends, your family, your faculty join you today to cheer for you and celebrate on this very special occasion. In just a few moments, I'll have the great honor of conferring upon you the degree which you have aspired, with all its rights, honors, and privileges pertaining thereto. And then you'll be on your way to an exciting profession and serving in your respective communities. I'm confident as I confer the degree on you today that you have received the best legal education possible and are prepared to practice your profession. In fact, if I needed a lawyer, and I hope I have that need not too soon, I would trust my case to you. That's how confident I am in your faculty and in the course that you have completed. So today, on behalf of the university, we're not prepared to say goodbye, but we're instead prepared to say, congratulations, you will always be a child of your alma mater, your great mother, and I look forward to welcoming you home often. Class of 2018, congratulations. I can't wait to see where your dreams take you, where you go, and what you will do next. Thank you.
President Crave, thank you. Distinguished platform guests and graduates, parents, wives, husbands, and friends. I'd like to tell you a little story about my family's connection with Campbell. My father graduated from the predecessor institution of Campbell about 100 years ago. And I graduated from this institution in 1964, and my son graduated from here 4 years ago. And we've all received an education that has provided a comfortable and life for us, and we feel like it will do the same for you. But I remember the excitement in my father's voice when he would come home from the trustees meeting and talk about Dr. Norman A. Wiggins' dream to start a school of law. As you know, Dr. Wiggins served as dean of the Wake Forest Law School and was an authority on wills and trusts when the board asked him to come and serve as president of Campbell University. It didn't take him long after becoming president of Campbell University in 1968 to establish the trust school, the only one east of the Mississippi. And then in the early 1970s, he started the law school. The establishment of the law school was the biggest thing that had happened at Campbell in my father's 40-year service on the board. The board granted my father an honorary Doctor of Laws degrees in recognition of his support for the law school. The establishment of the law school was the pride and joy of Dr. Wiggins and, of course, the Board of Trustees. You graduates are now part of the history of this institution, and your success will represent this school for years to come, for the public will grade this institution on how well you serve your community. You are graduating from one of the best law schools in the nation under Dean Rich Leonard, and you will be nationally recognized for your accomplishments in jurisprudence to help humanity resolve differences. You will lead this nation through uncharted waters, and I know you will lead with moral and ethical conviction. Your profession will have a profound influence on the daily lives of the nation's citizens. And over about 100 years ago, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. provided this nation with benchmark opinions that have given my appraisal or evaluation business and industry direction, particularly as it relates to titles, leases, and things and definitions, which have survived for over 100 years. And it's helped stabilize the financial institutions with these crystal clear definitions. His opinions have influenced how appraisal societies teach valuation theory in this nation. And as the ownership of real estate and business is becoming more prevalent in other nations, they too are indirectly accepting his opinions. I know some of you will become justices just like Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., and you will have an influence on how we do business in the future. And now, as chairman of the University Board of Trustees, and on behalf of the Presidential Board of Advisors, I bid you welcome. I'm proud of Campbell University and what this special day represents for you and its proud history. Please take time to enjoy our campus, and you're welcome not only today, but every day. Congratulations, class of 2018. We challenge you to a life of service and personal fulfillment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Creed. Thank you, Mr. Keith. Rod J. Rosenstein is the 37th Deputy Attorney General of the United States. As Deputy Attorney General, he advises and assists the Attorney General in formulating and implementing Department of Justice policies and programs, and in providing overall supervision to all organizational units of the Department of Justice. Mr. Rosenstein has spent over 27 years in government service. After graduating from the Wharton School of Business and Harvard Law School, and let me stop to add that this is the second year in a row I have offered the podium to a Harvard Law graduate, which for a Yale Law graduate is no small thing. Mr. Rosenstein started his legal career in 1989 as a law clerk to Judge Douglas Ginsburg of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. Mr. Rosenstein began his career with the department as an attorney with the Attorney General's Honors Program, and previously served as the United States Attorney for the District of Maryland under Presidents Bush and Obama from 2005 until 2017. No lawyer in America works under more pressure or has a busier schedule than our speaker today, and I am delighted that he has honored us with his presence. Mr. Rosenstein.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that kind introduction, Dean Leonard. I appreciate your many decades of service to the federal courts and to the Legal Academy. President Creed, Dr. Hammond, Chairman Keith, faculty members, family, friends, and graduates, I want to share with you the most important question a lawyer can ask. What if we are wrong? Lawyers are supposed to get the facts and the law right, but sometimes even we make mistakes. So the habit of asking that question before making an important decision is the key to being a good lawyer. Everyone understands that things do not always go according to plan, but that's just a subset of a broader truth. Things almost never go according to plan. The good news is that is not a cause for distress. In fact, accepting that nothing ever goes as planned is one of the most valuable life lessons. When you study the history of successful people, there always appears to be an obvious logic to their career paths. It's amazing how each person was in precisely the right place at just the right time, with exactly the right connections and experience to take advantage of the next remarkable opportunity that conveniently presented itself as he or she progressed inexorably on a predestined path to the inevitable result. That appearance of logic, of course, is always wrong. It's a product of hindsight bias, the tendency to see a pattern in retrospect that never exists in real time. The reality is that everyone's life is a product of random events and consequential decisions. The random events are things that happen to you and are largely beyond your control. The consequential decisions are what you choose to do about it. There's no point in wasting your time complaining about the random events. The key to living a life of integrity is to take ownership of the consequential decisions. The philosopher Richard Bach wrote that you should live your life so that you will never be ashamed if anything you do or say is published around the world, even if it is cast in a false light. Wherever life takes you, conduct your own affairs with integrity so you will never need to look back with regret. Consider how modern computers allow programmers to develop interactive scenarios with variable outcomes. A program can present you with decision points and let you choose among multiple options. The program then proceeds along different branches or alternate realities, depending upon which decisions you make. When something goes wrong, you can go back, start over, and try a different decision. But real life is not like that. You get just one chance every time. Each choice permanently alters every subsequent outcome. That means that the future is entirely unpredictable. Mathematicians who study this phenomenon call it chaos theory because it demonstrates that even in a complex system, a small change can make a dramatic difference. Robert Frost wrote about that in a poem called The Road Not Taken. It tells of a traveler reflecting on a moment when he needed to choose between two roads that diverged in the woods. His decision to take one instead of the other made all the difference in his life. Some people read the poem and conclude that the traveler took the less popular path, what Frost calls the road not taken. But if you read the poem closely, it reveals something else. When the traveler chose one of the two roads, what he referred to as the road less traveled, he did not know for sure that it was less traveled. But he realizes that when he reaches old age, he will mistakenly remember it as the obvious choice at the time. That poem is about hindsight bias. It's also about consequential decisions. Members of the class of 2018, my time with you is limited, and I do not plan to spend much of it offering kudos. Congratulations are certainly in order to the graduates and to their families, friends, teachers, and administrators who brought you to this momentous occasion. But this is a commencement address. It is not a graduation speech. You're only at the start of your legal career, far from the finish line. There's still a lot of work to be done. One additional step that you'll need to take before practicing law is to swear an oath. In fact, you need to take an oath each time you join a new bar as a lawyer. Some lawyers get so accustomed to swearing that they don't pay much attention to what it is they're promising to do. But there was a time when taking an oath was a matter of life and death. In 1535, Sir Thomas More was executed because he failed to swear a false oath. In Robert Bolt's play based on More's life, A Man for All Seasons, More tells his daughter that when someone takes an oath, he's holding his own self in his hands, like water. And if he opens his fingers then, he need not hope to find himself again. In those days, an oath was serious business. I encourage you to take your oath seriously as well. And as an officer of the court, you do not just need to take an oath, you need to follow your oath. An oath is an obligation. If you join the North Carolina State Bar, you swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and to truly and honestly conduct yourself as an attorney. You will exercise considerable power. Whether or not you hold a government position, people pay attention to what lawyers say and do. So be mindful of French philosopher Voltaire's advice. With great power comes great responsibility. If that quote sounds familiar, it was also said by another legendary figure, Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. As a lawyer, you are never just a representative of a client. You have broader responsibilities. You share a duty to maintain the integrity of our courts and to foster public confidence in our judicial system. That's not just my job. It's not just the judge's job. It's your job too. You are responsible for defending the rule of law. If you fail, don't expect me or anybody else to do it for you. Lawyers do not make scientific discoveries. We don't create revolutionary technologies. We don't build skyscrapers. But we make those things possible. The rule of law is indispensable to a thriving and vibrant society. It shields citizens from government overreaching and arbitrary action. It allows businesses to enter into contracts and invest with confidence. It gives innovators protection for their discoveries. It keeps people safe from dangerous criminals. And it allows us to resolve our differences peacefully through reason and logic. In the Robert Bolt play that I mentioned, Thomas More tells his son-in-law, William Roper, that the rule of law is so important that he would never deviate from it, even to kill the devil. Roper insists that he would cut down every law, if necessary, in order to get the devil. And More replies, "Oh, and when the last law was down and the devil turned round on you, Roper, where would you hide? The laws all being flat. If you cut them down, and you are just the man to do it, do you really think you could stand upright in the winds that would blow then?" And More concludes, "Yes, I would give the devil the benefit of law for my own safety's sake." German theologian Martin Niemöller made a similar observation. Niemöller failed to defend the rule of law when other people were victimized in the 1930s, and he later regretted it. When they came for him, there was no one else left to speak up. Lawyers are obligated to speak up for the truth. John Adams famously observed that facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of the facts and the evidence. Pursuing truth means always yielding to the facts, even if they run counter to our hopes. In a courtroom, truth is about credible evidence, not strong opinions. A 19th century writer observed that sincerity of belief is not the test of truth. Many people sincerely believe things that just aren't true. They fall prey to confirmation bias, choosing their conclusion in advance and ignoring contradictory evidence. Now, graduates, most of your clients, I'm sorry to say, will believe that the facts and law are on their side. But many of them will be mistaken, because the law, at its best, is dispassionate and objective. It bears no prejudice. Judge Leonard Hand said that the spirit of liberty is the spirit which is not too sure that it is right. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which seeks to understand the minds of other men and women. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which weighs their interests alongside its own, without bias. Lawyers who seek the truth frequently confront roads that diverge. Controversy, stress, and difficult decisions define our daily existence. This is definitely not a career for the faint of heart. But no matter what kind of lawyer you become, there are few professions more important to preserving liberty. Your Campbell University Law School motto is leading with purpose. Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson would concur. Jackson said that our profession is duty-bound to supply bold and imaginative leadership to bring and keep justice within the reach of persons in every condition of life, to devise processes better to secure men against false accusation and society against crime and violence, and to preserve not merely the forms of constitutional government, but the spirit of liberty under law as embodied in our Constitution. Law is a noble profession, and lawyers, by and large, are noble people. In William Shakespeare's play about Henry VI, a character named Dick the Butcher famously proclaims, "The first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers." Now, some people mistakenly think Shakespeare was poking fun at lawyers in that line. The cynics miss the point. Dick the Butcher is a villain who is scheming to take over the government. Shakespeare's point is that without lawyers, nobody would need to follow the law. Now, that may be good for criminals like Dick, but it would be very bad for everybody else. Criticism of lawyers tends to stem from two factors. First, the practice of law is often adversarial. There are winners and losers. Your client usually wants to win without regard to what justice demands. There's a story about a client anxiously awaiting word from his lawyer about the judge's ruling in his case. The lawyer sends a 3-word message: "Justice was done." And the client replies, "In that case, appeal immediately." And when you represent a prevailing party, it is understandable that the loser may dislike you. The loser may also dislike his own lawyer because from his perspective, the loss surely resulted from the lawyer's performance and not the client's own actions. Even the prevailing party may wind up disliking his lawyer if the fees are too high or the road to victory was too long. It's relatively rare for all parties to walk away from litigation with a warm and fuzzy feeling about lawyers. The second objection that people raise against lawyers is that we tend to nitpick. People generally do not like nitpickers. But the law demands precision and close reading. We are the dotters of I's and the crossers of T's. Small details like commas and semicolons matter a great deal to us. In discussing the attributes of a lawyer, the great Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia explained that one of the distinctive skills of our profession is to discern ambiguities, inaccuracies, and insufficiencies that would not occur to the ordinary person. To non-lawyers, it sometimes appears as if our job is to find loopholes, argue about technicalities, and elevate form over substance. But we know that the liberty of a citizen or the future of a business may turn on a seemingly minor detail, such as whether the word "and" in a statute functions in the conjunctive or the disjunctive sense. Obsessing over such details is part of our job. As a result, lawyers will probably never enjoy the highest ranking in public opinion polls. We may be a frequent punchline for comedians, but lawyers are essential to civilization. In their heart of hearts, even our harshest critics respect the central role that lawyers play. Abraham Lincoln eloquently defended his fellow members of the bar. Lincoln was a self-taught lawyer who delivered his first major address at age 28. He gave his speech a prophetic title, "The Perpetuation of Our Political Institutions." And he spoke passionately about the adverse consequences of rejecting the rule of law. Because all lawyers share an interest in promoting law, ours is a collaborative profession. It is a mistake to treat lawyers to treat each other as the enemy. Litigation is not warfare. Your goal is not to destroy your opponent. That's not what zealous advocacy requires. Opposing counsel is a fellow member of the bar, fulfilling a solemn duty just like you. If you keep that in mind, your career will be much more rewarding. You will develop lifelong friendships with some of the lawyers who litigate against you. In The Taming of the Shrew, Shakespeare counsels people to conduct themselves as adversaries do in the law. Strive mightily, but eat and drink as friends. President Lincoln brought that spirit of lawyerly collegiality with him to our nation's capital. When he delivered his first inaugural address in 1861, Americans were literally at war with each other. But Lincoln refused to treat his opponents as enemies. He insisted that we are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. So to be a successful lawyer, develop the habit of treating everyone with respect, regardless of their station in life. My teenage daughters introduced me to a country song written by Lori McKenna that captures everything I tried to teach them about character. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you've got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. The song concludes with an admonition to take the time to pay it forward to the next generation. When you get where you're going, don't forget to turn back around and help the next one in line to always stay humble and kind. Members of the class of 2018, you are talented and well-trained young lawyers with much to offer our profession. You spent the last 3 years of your life immersed in the law, but you are beginners. Most of the law you need to know remains to be learned. Most of the wisdom that you need to exercise is yet to be developed. So maintain the intellectual discipline that brought you to this moment. Set aside time each day to study and grow as a lawyer and as a human being. Your clients expect a lawyer to master the law, so stay current, but also take time to read and learn about things not directly related to the law. History, science, literature, and current events. You never know when it might matter. And never compromise your personal integrity. As Thomas Jefferson famously said, on matters of style, swim with the current. On matters of principle, stand like a rock. Finally, I want to leave you with some advice about what to do when you are not certain what to do. Your world is filled with complex ethical rules, so many rules that sometimes you can't keep track of them all. When the rules are unclear, it's best to fall back on your own moral principles. First principles matter most. Robert Fulghum gives this advice. Remember in elementary school when they told you to plant a seed in a cup to learn about the miracle of germination? The lesson is that with proper care, the roots grow down and the plant grows up. We are all like that seed. It took a lifetime of random events and consequential decisions to bring me to this moment with you. I hope it was time well spent. I wish you well in your legal career. I hope that you pursue justice, support the rule of law, stand firm on matters of principle, treat everyone with respect, pause to consider the possibility that you may be mistaken, lead with purpose, and always stay humble and kind. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenstein, for those inspirational words. Let me go off script for just a moment. And as exciting and joyous as an occasion as today is for all of us, it also marks a bittersweet goodbye for our law school community. Today, after more than 30 years of exemplary service, Professor Bob Loftus has decided to step away from the lectern and retire. Professor Loftus has taught nearly every single incoming class of students in the history of the law school, leading courses in income taxation, business associations, and related matters. He has lectured for the Bar Review in the area of agency and partnership and has 40 years of experience in the tax field. He is also a certified public accountant. His wry humor and his gentle demeanor have made him a popular fixture at the law school. Professor Loftus and his wife Juanita, a Campbell Law graduate herself, have been valuable members of both the university and law school communities. Bob, if you would join me at the podium for a moment. On behalf of the entire law school community and all of us who have been fortunate enough to enjoy your Christian fellowship for more than 3 decades, thank you for that leadership, your service, and your friendship. I would like to invite Professors Olivia Weeks and Allegra Collins to join me on stage for the presentation of special honors and awards.
Good morning. It is my privilege on behalf of the faculty and the awards committee, along with Dean Leonard, to recognize our graduating students for their many accomplishments, both during the past year and throughout their legal education. As the parents, spouses, families, and friends of this graduating class, you are well aware that these students are immensely creative, motivated, and talented individuals. We are pleased today to present the awards listed in your program and to recognize this class's many different types of accomplishments and contributions to the School of Law. To the graduates, as I call the name of each award recipient, please exit your row on your right, and after you've received your award from Dean Leonard, proceed in a circular motion behind the diploma awards table to return to your seat. And I would please ask you to stay in the order that I have called your name. I would ask the audience to hold your applause until all honorees for each particular category are recognized. Our first award is the Howard Memorial Christian Citizenship Award. This prestigious award was established in 1980 and has been presented every year since to the graduating student whose citizenship and leadership exemplify the Christian character of the aspiration of the School of Law. We are very pleased to have with us Captain Michael Howard Mcdaniel, U.S. Navy retired, and President of the Howard Memorial Christian Education Fund, to present this year's award.
Good morning. I'm Michael Howard Mcdaniel, and I'm the president of the Howard Fund, as she mentioned. I'm also the oldest grandson of Dr. Charles and Alma Howard, who founded the fund conceptually back in the 1920s and incorporated as a 501c3 in the 1950s. Reader's Digest did a great article about this several years ago that's pretty interesting. If you'd like to see a copy, reach out to me. I joined the board shortly after graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy. Yes, Naval Academy, retired Navy captain, 31 years, with a ponytail. A little bit of rebellion going on here, but not many in my club. But I served on the board for about 3 decades before taking over as president upon the passing of the previous director, Barry Howard, many of you knew, who was Charles B. Howard II. In 1994, I was getting ready to go into vocational ministry. I was going to be the director for an office of the Promise Keepers Ministry in Washington, D.C. And my wife and I went to a prayer meeting one Wednesday morning just before starting. And it was a great group of folks that used to pray for the city, pray for the nation, eclectic group, many denominations, many different cultures. And that day, one of the coordinators had a friend that was in from the country of Cameroon, Dr. Solomon Gui. He was there to meet with then President Clinton, with many of his contemporaries in the area of human rights working around the world. He was the chairman of the Freedom and Human Rights Commission for the country of Cameroon. And this short little black man got up with this heavy French accent and gave this incredible testimony and encouragement about the salvation of God and the sovereignty of placing us where we are supposed to be for a certain time and placing people around us and having us cross paths with people as part of his divine intervention. And I remember being very moved by that, getting ready to go into this explosive ministry, and I went up to him afterwards and told him how much he encouraged me. And I don't do this all the time, but I put my hand on his shoulder and I said a little prayer for him. And when I finished, he began to weep, and he gave me a card and said, "Young man, please continue to pray for me. Prayer is key. Please remember to pray for me. We need to pray for each other." Well, the following weekend, 1994, I come down to Buies Creek for a board meeting of the Howard Fund. Wonderful group of folks. We had a wonderful weekend. Well, Saturday evening, I had a real prompting to start going through some of my grandfather's materials in his study. And I went in there, and it felt very special. I asked my wife, called my wife in Alexandria, Virginia, and asked her to pray for me while I was doing this. And I came across this write-up in the North Carolina State Baptist Convention yearbook that quantified some of what my grandfather had done. He had preached over 26,000 times. had held over 1,200 revivals, had pastored 26 churches, and had helped missionaries and students in 104 different countries. Many of those students were students at Campbell. And I had never seen it quantified it like that, but I was pretty amazed. Then I found a file cabinet with many folders from different countries of letters and pictures of people he had helped through the decades. And I came across a Cameroon file, and I said, well, I just prayed for a guy from Cameroon about 3 days ago. He gave me his card. Maybe I can see if there are some points of contact in there and send it to him. Well, I opened up the file, and the very first part of the file was a picture and a letter from Solomon Gui thanking my grandfather for the $300 helping him get started with his education in the ministry. And here 30 years later, I'm in the inner city of Washington, D.C., being encouraged by the same individual. The sovereignty of God, the tapestry of God. So this award I'm giving today is a small token of appreciation and recognition to one of your students who is recognized by the faculty deserving this award. And my prayer is that this seed will encourage him and will germinate and will spread words of encouragement in generations to come. And I look forward to being able to see that, if not here, then when we go meet the Father. But I'm excited to be able to be a part of this. This student, one of the faculty said he personifies the very best of what it means to be a law student. He is optimistic, energetic, and enthusiastic. He was a light of energy from the first time he came to Campbell. He reflects all we hope to be. He is a joy to teach, and his positive, excited outlook makes people around him happy and encouraged. We are all better people because of Zach. So I'm honored to present this award to Zachary Scott Anstead. Go do great things.
Thank you so much. Next, we present the Academic Achievement Awards. First, the third-year Academic Achievement Award is presented to the graduating student with the highest academic average in his or her third year of law school. This year's recipient is Christopher Andrew Moore. The Richard A. Lord Outstanding Graduate Award is given annually to the graduating student who excels academically as well as in individual endeavors, thereby contributing fully to the School of Law, his or her peers, and the legal profession. This award, which recognizes overall excellence, is funded by Campbell Professor Emeritus Richard A. Lord. This year's recipient is Monique Ian Kreisman. The Jessie and Elizabeth Leonard Award is a cash award presented to the valedictorian of the graduating class. This award was created and funded by Dean J. Rich Leonard in honor and memory of his parents. This year's recipient of the Jessie and Elizabeth Leonard Valedictorian Award is Christopher Andrew Moore. Next, we present the Dean's Outstanding Improvement Award. This cash award is presented to the graduating student who has exhibited the most outstanding academic improvement over his or her law school career. The recipient of this award is selected by the Dean and Associate Dean. This year's recipient is unable to be with us this morning. Nevertheless, let us recognize and congratulate Amy C. Smith. We next recognize the recipient of the Robert A. Jenkins Award. This cash award is presented to the graduating student whose work in various competitions or other areas best represents the School of Law to the community, the profession, and the public. This year's recipient is Morgan Paige Pierce. Next up is the National Association of Women Lawyers Award. This award is presented to a graduating student based on academic achievement, motivation, and potential to contribute to the advancement of women in the profession. This year's recipient is Jordan McCoy Savannah. We next present the Lake Constitutional Law Award. This cash award is presented to the student who has demonstrated excellence in the area of constitutional law by winning a writing competition. This award was created and endowed by the late Honorable I. Beverly Lake. The winner of the Lake Constitutional Law Award is Shannon Melissa Gerwich. At this time, I would like to recognize Keith Boyette, incoming president of the Student Bar Association, to present the Student Bar Association Service Award.
Before I present this year's Service Award, I want to congratulate all of you for pushing through and making it to this point. And I want to encourage you to continue to push through these next few months. I assure you that everyone in here believes in you, and we are all behind you this summer and beyond. I'm confident that each of you will represent Campbell with pride and will continue to carry on the success that so many Campbell lawyers before you enjoy day after day in faithful service to our community. And remember, the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. The SBA Service Award is awarded each year to a graduating student who has dedicated themselves to serving the law school and all of its students in an extraordinary manner. This year's recipient committed herself to ensuring that students were presented with countless meaningful experiences and opportunities through various student organizations and events, and also passionately committed herself to the continued growth and improvement of Campbell Law through her role as this year's SBA president. The 2017-2018 SBA Service Award is presented to Ms. Terry Nelson.
Over the past 3 years, many members of the class of 2018 have represented the law school with distinction in regional and national moot court, trial team, client counseling, and other lawyering skill competitions. With a tremendous amount of interest, talent, and participation in the numerous advocacy and lawyering skills programs of the School of Law, it is difficult to single out those who have excelled. We are fortunate, however, to have several categories of awards to bestow upon these deserving students. The first is the Order of the Barristers. Membership in this national society recognizes outstanding performance in the art of advocacy. This year's 10 new barristers are Peter Nicholas Borden, Jessica Carol Carter, Latasia Andrea Fields, Tommy Devon Harvey III. Meredith Jo Kittrell. Monique Ian Kreisman. Christopher Andrew Moore. Terry Lynette Nelson. Morgan Paige Pierce. Ellen Elizabeth Williams. Next, we recognize those students inducted into the Order of Old Kivett. This law school award recognizes students who have excelled in lawyering skills while representing the law school in an exemplary fashion in regional and national competitions while maintaining the highest ethical standards. This year's 14 inductees to the Order of Old Kivett are Zachary Scott Anstead, Alexander Blake, Brian F. Castro, Sarah Riley Clark, Taylor K. Doherty, Taylor Paige Elkins, Megan Laura Foy, Shauna Lisa Gibson, Andrew Duncan Hill, Sarah Lorraine Locklear, Jesselyn Santiago, Ryan Peter Cernick, Dale Virginia Stevenson, and N. Cosmo Zinco. We next present the International Academy of Trial Lawyers Award. This award is given for distinguished achievement in the Student Advocacy Program. This year's recipient is Latasia Andrea Fields. Next up is the North Carolina Advocates for Justice Student Advocacy Awards. These awards are presented to the students showing the most significant improvement during the required advocacy program and are sponsored by the North Carolina Advocates for Justice. This year's recipients are Derrick Colby Ford, Sydney Paige Joyner, Larry Michael Koontz Jr., Savannah Brooke Perry, Taylor Moselle Scrag Smith, and Madison Crave Skeens. In addition to the certificates presented today, North Carolina Advocates for Justice also is presenting a copy of the North Carolina Prima Facie Tort Manual to each recipient. Each of you should come by my office at your convenience to retrieve your copy. We next recognize the recipient of the Calhoun Advocacy Award. This award recognizes the best performance in the required trial and appellate advocacy program and is sponsored by M. Jean Calhoun, class of 1980. This year's winner of the Calhoun Award is Meredith Jo Kettle. Meredith, in addition to the certificate presented today, North Carolina Advocates for Justice also is presenting you a copy of the North Carolina Manual of Complaints. So please come by my office at your convenience to get your copy. We also recognize the recipient of the Safran Moot Court Award. This cash award, funded by Perry R. Safran, class of 1981, is presented in recognition of outstanding contribution to the Moot Court program at the School of Law. This year's recipient is Christopher Andrew Moore. Our next award is the Rebecca N. Phillips Memorial Award. This cash award is presented to the graduating student, exemplifying honorable ideals and demonstrating an interest in representing victims of domestic violence. This award was established by the class of 2011 in memory of their classmate. This year's recipient is Evan Connor Crossgrove. Next is the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers Law Student Award. This is a cash award to the student who has exhibited the competency, ethics, and skill to elevate the practice of family law. We are very pleased to have with us Gina Morris, class of 1992, and a fellow of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers to present this year's award.
Thank you. The American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers is an organization throughout the United States with 1,650 lawyers who are specialists in family law. We made the conscientious decision to lead in the practice of law by being family lawyers. We do the dirty work. Our work takes as much heart as it does brain. There are 36 of us in North Carolina, and there are a handful of those who graduated from the Campbell Law School, and we hope to continue that tradition. It is my honor and privilege to give the AAML Student Award to Jessica Acita.
The Outstanding Clinical Student Award is presented for excellence in clinical field work and for exceptionally thoughtful, self-reflective participation in an accompanying clinical seminar, and is sponsored by the Clinical Legal Education Association. This year's recipient is Leonora Yates Mallory Chambliss. We next present the ALI CLE Scholarship and Leadership Award. This award is presented to the graduating student who best represents a combination of scholarship and leadership, the qualities embodied by the American Law Institute. This year's recipient is Jordan McCoy Spannon. Finally, we recognize the student receiving the Pro Bono Publico Award. This recognition is awarded to a graduating student whose demonstrated commitment to pro bono activities exemplifies the aspirations of the School of Law and the best intentions of the legal profession. This year's recipient is Melissa Ann Batiglione. That wraps up the awards for the class of 2018. In recognition of the tremendous contributions each member of this class of 2018 has made to the School of Law through their presence, scholarship, and participation, let's give the entire class another big round of applause.
Thank you, Professor Weeks, for your tireless work in bestowing these important honors. And now to the event at hand. Let me invite Dr. Hammond and President Creed to the podium for the presentation of candidates and the conferral of degrees.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Will all candidates for the degrees please stand? At this time, President J. Bradley Creed will confer upon you the degree Juris Doctor as presented in the graduation program. You will then present yourself for the degree as you are recognized. Dr. Creed, upon the recommendation of the Dean and faculty of the Norman Adrian Wiggins School of Law and the Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost of the University, we hereby present the candidates for the degree Juris Doctor as presented in the graduation program.
Thank you, Dr. Hammond. Upon the recommendation of the Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost and the Dean and faculty of the Norman Adrian Wiggins School of Law, I am pleased to confer upon you the degree as presented in the graduation program with all rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. Congratulations, and please be seated.
I now have the privilege of presenting for hooding and for the awarding of diplomas the members of the class of 2018. Professor Lukasik will hood the graduates. Dean Leonard will present each graduate with a diploma. Are we ready? Cody Jennings Davis. Cody is also receiving a master's in public administration from North Carolina State University, and his guide dog, Bingo, who attended every single class at the law school, is receiving her Juris Doctorate. Jessica Ann Acito. Zachary Scott Anstedt, cum laude. Tara N. Bateschultz, who is also receiving a Master's of Trust and Wealth Management. Jenna Oline Bass. Campbell Brett Benson. Matthew Stephen Bissett. Alexander Blake, cum laude. James Hunter Lyle Bloom. Peter Nicholas Borden, cum laude. Melissa Ann Bottiglione, magna cum laude. Francis Albert Collins. Oh, skipped a page. I am so sorry. Apologies. Joseph Beeman Brewer IV. Connor Atticus Brooks. Asia Jordan Buss. Adam Garrett Campbell. Alexa May Cannon. Matthew Joel Carpenter. Jessica Carol Carter. Brian F. Castro, cum laude. Leonora Yates Mallory Chambliss. William Hampton Choate III, cum laude. Sarah Riley Clark. Francis Albert Collins. Trey Cook. Evan Connor Crossgrove. Brennan Curran Kumalander. Caroline Annette Cusick. Joseph DeMartin. Nitheen Desai, who's also receiving a Master's of Science in Public Health. Eric Matthew Ditmore. Taylor K. Doherty. John Blake Drury. Taylor Paige Elkins. Drew Tyler Erdmeyer. Aaron Stanley Estes. Ryan David Eubanks. Latasia Andrea Fields. Carol Lane Fleming. Montgomery Tavener Fletcher. Derrick Colby Ford. Christopher Ryan Follett. Christopher Paul Fordham, magna cum laude. Megan Laura Foy. Michael Cosro Frankie. Spencer Smith Fritz, cum laude. William Randolph Futrell III. Shauna Lisa Gibson. Zachary David Goldberg. Caleb Michael Gregory. Sutton Dawson Griffin. Stephanie Lynn Gum, magna cum laude. Shannon Melissa Gerwich, cum laude. Evans Joseph Hale. Rachel Burgess Hare. Tommy Devon Harvey III. Andrew Hatch. Brady Nicholas Herman. Donald Scott Hester, Jr. Andrew Duncan Hill. Brian Paul Hubacher. Madeline Ann Hurley. Paul Ikalowicz, cum laude. Destiny Hart Jenkins, cum laude. Victor Bradley Jordan. Sydney Paige Joyner, cum laude. Austin R. Kendrick. Katie Van Dyne King. Michael Wayne King. Meredith Joe Kittrell. Larry Michael Koontz, Jr. Monique Ian Kreisman, summa cum laude. Benjamin Andrew Leach. Jared Parker Lee. Sarah Lorraine Locklear. Sloan Martin Linden. Jordan Samuel Mackey. Alexandria Elaine Mashburn. Donald Larry McLam II, cum laude. Amy Sarita McCrae. William Jacob Mims. Tara Elise Mockery, who's also receiving a master's in business administration. Christopher Andrew Moore, summa cum laude. Jessica Lauren Moreau. Sammy Naji, cum laude. Brittany Claire Nelson. Terry Lynette Nelson. Jordan Timothy Bice Nitz. John Everett Nobles III. Gregory Norman Pandorf. James Douglas Patrick. Savannah Brooke Perry, who's also receiving a Master's of Trust and Wealth Management. Megan Elizabeth Pfeiffer. Morgan Paige Pierce. Robert Lewis Pinkerton. Avery Hoke Rogers. Caitlin Taylor Romanelli Myers. Jesselyn Santiago. Claire Elizabeth Scott. Taylor Mizell Scruggs Smith. Jacob Shelton, cum laude. Sarah Sherrington. Jennifer Ann Sinclair. Madison Cray Skeens. Mackenzie Grayson Skeens. Hannah Catherine Smith. Meredith Kelly Solomon Johnson. Gabriel Andres Soto Perez. Jordan McCoy Spanner, magna cum laude. Ryan Peter Cernick. Anna Virginia Stearns, cum laude. Dale Virginia Stevenson. Jessica Sarah Stout. Miles Peyton Thigpen. Luke Christopher Tompkins, cum laude. Samuel Wesley Tripp III. Kellett Hypes Wade. Luke Andrew West, cum laude. Ellen Elizabeth Williams, cum laude. George Allen Woodcock, Sr. Jonathan Leander Woodruff. Jennifer Nicole Wyatt. Elizabeth Yelverton. Cosmo Zinco, magna cum laude. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2018 of the Campbell University School of Law.
It is the tradition of Campbell Law to invite the class valedictorian to respond on behalf of the class, and the honor this year goes to someone who's already crossed the stage more times than I have today, Christopher Moore.
Thank you, Dean Leonard. I'm probably going to give Professor Tilley a conniption, but I did have a script of what I wanted to say. Trial advocacy was not my best class. Good morning, everyone. Classmates, faculty, spouses, parents, grandparents, and less successful siblings. I first want to say how much of an honor it is for me to be standing here right now. It is an honor because I worked side by side with you all for the past 3 years, and I've seen just how brilliant and wonderful and special everyone on this stage is. So this honor is not something that I take lightly. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not give my thank yous. Thank you to all the faculty and administration for the selfless devotion you have given us for the past 3 years. Thank you to all my classmates for making these 3 years, let's call it reasonably bearable. Is that fair? And thank you to all the families out there who supported all of us even when it was really, really difficult to do that. So I did some math on Wednesday night, and there's a reason I'm in law school, because I'm terrible at math, so I'm certain that I did this incorrectly. But by my terrible math, I calculated that we've had 409 days of law school. And I've decided that 408 of those days were worthless. That's not true, of course, but what I mean is that everything I learned about how to be a great lawyer, I learned on my first day of class. More particularly, I learned 3 lessons in one 1-hour block. On my first day, I was one of the lucky students who had the full law school experience. I'm talking paper chase here, or for my generation, L. Woods in Professor Stormwell's criminal law class. So on August 17th, 2015, 225 Phillipsboro Street, Raleigh, North Carolina, room 309, in criminal law with Professor Boyd. It's our first day of school, and my Section 4 mates and I start shuffling in, and before class even begins, Professor Boyd throws open the door, stomps into the room, and shouts, "Mr. Moore, don't even sit down, we're talking today." It got real very quickly. So there I was, standing in the second row of class, not even knowing whether I should take off my book bag, and sweating. I just immediately started sweating so much. But I get my nerves together, because I was warned about the Socratic method before school. So the night before, I stayed up late briefing the case and outlining the statute, and prepared to answer any question he had about that chapter. Wrong. His first question was not about the holding of the case or the meaning of the statute. It was, what is criminal law? Cue the deer in headlights. This question was not in the casebook. I stuttered for about 6 seconds before spitting out an answer that I'm pretty sure amounted to, it is the law of crimes. And here I am today. So that was lesson 1, always be prepared. Being prepared encompasses more than doing the minimum. It requires you to think critically about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and to learn everything you possibly can before you walk into the courtroom or the office. So back to class, things start off reasonably well until he asked me what indigent means. This is not a word I had ever heard before. It is, however, a word that I read late at night and decided, I'll probably figure it out. Wrong again. He made me look up the word in the dictionary on the spot while telling the whole class that it is absolutely essential to legal education to take every step necessary to understand the materials. Lesson number 2, always work hard. Work ethic requires humility. It demands you to recognize that you do not know everything, that there's always more work to do, and the only way you're going to achieve what you want to achieve is by going the extra mile 100% of the time. It requires giving hours when it is inconvenient to give those hours. So after the indigent snafu, I wasn't feeling great about myself. I stumbled through the last half of class, my confidence withering away by the minute, wishing that I was much better at math than I actually am. And soon enough, class comes to a merciful end, and just as I'm about to slink out of the room, I'm suddenly surrounded by my section mates. One person says, hey, great job. Another says, keep your head up, that was really good. In a moment, I went from feeling really down to feeling like I could survive this after all. So lesson 3, be a good person. Law school and a legal career are challenging enough. Only by supporting each other and being kind to one another will we all make it. We have to work with each other and not against each other. Class of 2018. We are at the beginning of a long and exciting adventure. It will be challenging, and I encourage us all to embrace those challenges head on. As the wise Dr. John D. Dorian once said, the future doesn't have to be so scary. It can be whatever you want it to be. I hope you all want it to be excellent in every way. Because I know the quality of education that Campbell has given us all, I have the utmost confidence that every single graduate in this class will attain the highest level of success. As we set out on this journey, let us remember these 3 fundamental principles. Always be prepared, always work hard, and always be a good person. These are the traits that have defined the last 39 classes of Campbell lawyers. Let's make it 40. Thank you.
During his lifetime, Senator Sam Ervin was the most popular high school graduation speaker in our state. He had 3 speeches which he rotated. Standing in line to process in at a small rural high school in western North Carolina, a young man came up to him and said, Senator, I graduated 2 years ago, and your speech was the best I ever heard. I remember every word. The senator said, what did I talk about? The young man replied, it was the responsibilities of a good citizen. Senator Ervin looked in his pocket, turned to the principal and said, you need to hold up this line for a minute, I got to go back to my car. Luckily, our vibrant law school gives me so much material that I do not need to repeat from year to year. This year, we saw our community law clinic placed on a sound footing with major gifts that now leave more than $1 million in gifts and pledges supporting the work in downtown, helping the neediest of God's children return to employment, independent living, and families. The flexible admissions program we started 4 years ago that we call Campbell Flex comes to fruition today as we just graduated that program's first outstanding graduates. We've launched our British LLM program with the University of Nottingham that embeds that degree in our curriculum and allows our students to earn both an American JD and a British LLM during their 3 years here. Our advocacy teams continue to excel, and this year, for the first time in school history, we saw our all-female team of 4 bring home a national championship. A new measure of bar success, now required by the American Bar Association, ranks us as one of the top 15 law schools in the nation for bar performance. And the list continues. Take confidence in what we have given you. We have taught you to analyze an issue thoroughly, to write persuasively and stand on your feet and comfortably defend your position. With our rigorous curriculum, you have mastered most substantive areas of the law, and you've learned to work under deadlines that are real. You have experienced competition here that is fair but not cutthroat. We've encouraged you to learn leadership by taking charge of and running the student groups and activities that we offer. We have taught you to trust your own moral compass when others propose shortcuts. And we have put you out in this community in externships, clinics, pro bono initiatives, and mentorships to learn how the practice of law works. You are ready. There will be setbacks. The first draft opinion I submitted to the veteran federal judge for whom I clerked was handed back to me with the first and last paragraphs intact, the intervening 7 pages marked out with these words, "This may be your first case, it is not mine." I survived, and so will you. You start your careers at a paradoxical time. It is indisputable that fewer people on our globe now live in abject poverty, and standards of living are rising everywhere. Nonetheless, powerful autocratic movements and rulers are ascending in influence, and it sometimes seems that the very idea of a democratic republic is under attack. As a student of history, I tell you that it was the skills of analysis, debate, advocacy, and compromise possessed by our lawyer forefathers that gave us our nation, and it will be the same skills of your generation that, God willing, will allow us to sustain it. And finally, remember this: your life is no longer a series of short sprints measured by semesters, exams, and holiday and summer breaks. It is now a marathon, and there will be hills and there will be valleys. The trick is to recognize and respond to the different terrains as you come to them. So at the end, you look back with satisfaction and say, that was a life well lived. At this time, I ask you to join me in standing and singing a hymn whose words are located on page 7 of our program. Professor Loftus will then deliver our benediction. Please remain standing until the platform party, faculty, and graduates have exited.
Campbell Law School graduates of 2018, may God's blessing rest upon you. May you stay true to your vision, viewing the practice of law as a calling to serve others and to create a more just society. May you walk into the future with moral conviction, social compassion, and professional confidence. May your hearts and lives reflect love and truth. May hope carry you through challenging times and gratitude be your response to successes. May your integrity be a gift for the world, and may the Spirit of God be with you always. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.